Good evening, dear friends.
Tomorrow, regardless of the weather, I'm looking forward to visiting Dukla, where we will commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Carpathian Dukla military operation. On October 6, 1944, after fierce battles, soldiers of the Red Army and the 1st Czechoslovak Army Corps, led by Army General Ludvík Svoboda, entered Czechoslovak territory and began liberating the first villages and towns in eastern Slovakia. Thanks to the accounts of direct participants, we know that the events of October 1944 must have been terrible. More than 1,800 Czechs and Slovaks from the 1st Czechoslovak Army Corps died in just a few days. Almost 20,000 soldiers of the Red Army lost their lives. When General Ludvík Svoboda, later Minister of National Defense and very popular Czechoslovak president, met with exile President Beneš in Košice after the Carpathian Dukla operation, Beneš criticized the high losses on the Czech and Slovak side. From London, where the Czechoslovak exile government and president were based, there was a different perspective on individual military operations. General Svoboda, therefore, convinced President Beneš to return to the battlefield together to see the destruction with his own eyes. And the president had to acknowledge it. The Battle of Dukla was not just a skirmish. It was a massive sacrifice to liberate Czechoslovakia and support the Slovak national uprising. After commemorating the 80th anniversary of the Slovak national uprising in Banská Bystrica with dignity, I expect similar commemorations tomorrow. We made a clear commitment in the government program not to forget or ignore our most significant historical events and figures, unlike in the years 2023. Dear friends, even though many try to deny or distort historical events, the truth about Slovakia's liberation is simple. Freedom came from the East. And that's why I'm surprised that many were disturbed by my words that I would like to attend the celebration of the end of World War II and the defeat of fascism in Moscow next year. The nations of the former Soviet Union paid the highest price in World War II, 20 million dead. Without their full effort, fascism would never have been defeated. On Monday, I will also thank Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal for the participation and sacrifices of Ukrainian soldiers in the Carpathian Dukla operation. Today, besides real military conflicts, the European Commission is also involved in unnecessary actions. On Friday, the European Commission's proposal to introduce additional tariffs on Chinese electric cars imported to Europe was approved. Unfortunately, there was no blocking minority to prevent this nonsense. The standard 10% CO2 is increased from 35% to 45%, which will, of course, disadvantage Chinese electric cars on the European market. We must protect the European market, but not with measures that could devastate the European economy. I gave clear instructions to our representatives in EU bodies never to vote for this proposal. So did the Spanish Prime Minister and the German Federal Chancellor, but it was not enough. Why this opposition to the European Commission? Firstly, regarding electric cars, Europe must compete with China in quality and low emissions. China has surpassed Europe in electric car quality by a decade. Secondly, China can respond with measures that practically prevent the import of European middle-class and luxury cars into the huge Chinese market. What will happen to Volkswagen's production in Bratislava or luxury brands in Germany? In the European Union, we excel at liquidating our competitiveness. Since car manufacturing is one of the key pillars of the European economy, any measures must be carefully weighed. I agree with German Federal Chancellor Paul Fasovk that we must revisit this topic, and I will do so in a few days at the next EU summit. I also plan to discuss this during my official visit to China at the end of this month. Dear friends, when you look around Slovakia, you might feel like we're at war. Tension, nervousness, skirmishes, and even death threats against me. I regret that a year after the elections, Slovakia is not at peace. Although the government and parliament function and approve necessary measures, often very sensitive ones, I strive to be personally active in promoting Slovakia's economic interests abroad, as I did last week in South Korea. I will do everything possible to ensure we navigate the next period more peacefully and make difficult decisions without all the noise. Even in the case of the health minister's resignation, I will patiently await the proposal for a new minister. The entire situation requires the Smear SD party, both as a political party and a parliamentary club, to remain a stabilizing force in the government coalition and the Slovak political scene. Dear friends, the plenipotentiary of the government for the COVID-19 pandemic, Government Deputy Peter Kotlar, has started publishing his findings and conclusions.